Then, after being out there, I was up on the side of the boat. There was this piece of rope came free in the night, and I was kind of tangled around the side bit of rigging. So as I was up on the side of the boat, I was trying to untangle it. I was kind of reaching up at the middle of the boat there, when this huge wave, huge, twice the size of anything else, just ripped across, broke dead on the boat, and tore across the deck. And as it tore, it ripped my legs out from underneath me. Yeah, that was a really good R over there. Not only that, it ripped my legs out, my hips, my waist, my shoulders were overboard. And somehow, thank you, oohs and ahs, somehow I'd managed to hook a piece of rigging as I was getting swept off the deck of Climate Action Now. And as this water was pressing into my layers, I'm completely submerged underwater. It's trying to get up your nose, your mouth, it's in all your clothing, and it's freezing water. And I don't know how it happened, but as the wave passed and Climate Action Now came upright, she sort of scooped me back onto the deck of the boat. She's amazing. And I was able to survive it, but I was in shock because for a fraction of a second, it could have all been over. One misstep, not catching that piece of rigging, and I wouldn't be here telling this story. And that, for me, was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was the moment where I thought to myself, maybe they're right. Maybe these doubters, these people that have never met me, don't know who I am, maybe they're right. Maybe this isn't good enough. Maybe I'm not strong enough to undertake this. And I crawled from the front side of the boat back to the cockpit, and I shattered. I wasn't just crying. I was full, ugly, sobbing, crying. Thank you. And I was crying because I was having to quit my dream. And I was devastated that it had come to this moment in this time and that I wasn't strong enough, that I wasn't capable enough of succeeding. And here's where support teams come in. Because I did what any great adventurer does. I went into the boat, bawling my eyes out, still firmly believing that I'm going back to South Africa, I'm quitting. And I picked up the sat phone and I phoned Mum. Yeah, she deserves a round of applause. And I said, Mum, I'm going back. I can't do it. I'm not strong enough. I quit. And Mum's always been really amazing at shifting my perspective, putting me back in the moment, getting me out of my head. And she said, imagine this. She said, if you really need to come back, if you really feel like this is worse than what you've been through, come back, we'll figure it out, we'll make it work. And we at this point had as much invested into this, like family-wise, as me personally. We'd remortgaged the house to buy the boat. So she would lose as much as me by quitting. And I was very conscious that by quitting, particularly as a girl in this industry, which was still very male-dominated at the time, I would probably never have another opportunity to raise sponsorship or to do another project. So quitting wasn't just quitting was giving up adventure forever. And so I said to her, I quit, I'm going back to Cape Town. I'm not strong enough, I'm not capable. And she said, I want you to think about it this way. Just you're in a storm, you can't go anywhere, just think on this for the night. I want you to imagine that you're still 72 days into your world record. You haven't dismasted, and you're still 1 day ahead of the men's record, and Australia is 4 weeks sail away. I want you to imagine in that moment that you're feeling like this, that you're experiencing conditions like this. Would that be enough to make you quit? Cape Town's not there. You haven't been to Cape Town. Would that be enough to make you quit? And I digested this and I thought on this for the whole night. And I understood that actually I started looking at this as the beginning of a part 2, but it was the finish of part 1. Cape Town wasn't there. It wasn't my option. And I decided to commit and keep going. And I worked out that if I hove to the boat, which was a storm survival tactic, where you kind of stall the sails out and drift sideways in these conditions, if I hove to, I could go through the worst of the swell. Not easily, but I could do it. And then I'd sail when the winds eased, and then when the conditions would get worse again, I would hove to. And I did that for another 10 days. Until I crossed that position of dismasting and was finally able to head left for Australia. Now, I want you to think about this, because in that moment, I was perfectly justified in quitting. Nobody would have questioned it, given what I'd already attempted and how much effort I'd already put into this. But because I'd invested in making sure I had the right support network, and I'd shared all of my project with that team of people, not just my mum, but the supporters, the general public. I'd shared everything in a way that allowed them to pick me up when I was at my lowest. And I want you to think for yourself, who is your mum in your story? Who have you built into your support team? Because we can't always see the end result ourselves. But from a fresh perspective, somebody to bounce your ideas off, we can sometimes get over the greatest hurdles in front of us.